Alrighty, friends, strap yourselves in for today's episode. We are in for a wild ride, I think. I'm really excited to introduce to you today an online accountability coach and the owner of CrossFit Westgate, just up the road from us here in Victoria. Damien Hennigan, welcome to the Moxon Weighs In Podcast.
Giddy up. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
I reached out to, is it Damo or Damien?
Oh, yeah, Damo. Keep it Damo. Keep it short.
Keep it friendly, hey? I reached out to Damo on Instagram after I saw a couple of his posts reshared by friends of mine, and they were just hilarious, first of all. But I just really was attracted to how blatantly honest you were in what you were sharing and how passionate you were more than anything. And so I was wondering today if you could share that same energy and enthusiasm and expertise with our community, because whenever I find somebody that I feel like articulates their passion really well, I get excited about sharing them with our community, because I think, to be honest, people get sick of hearing me say the same things again and again and, banging my own drum. So when I can bring someone in with the same kind of energy and good intention, that has a different take on it, a different spin on it, I think it re-enthuses people to engage in the conversation. So I'd love for you today, I'm going to throw it wide open to you to rant on anything that you feel particularly passionate about sharing with a health and fitness community.
Yeah, perfect. Well, yeah, absolutely. Giddy up. Well, I'm glad you got to see some of my videos. Yeah, I suppose just a little bit of a backstory on myself, just to fill in your listeners. I'm an Irish lad. I've come from the west coast of Ireland, a small wee place called Roscommon, and I moved out here in 2009, and I landed in Altona, which is in western suburbs of Melbourne, and I started working in a wee gym there. Been in the fitness industry maybe 2 or 3 years before that, full time, before I left Ireland, and I got started in Westgate Health Club there, with under a manager called Trevor Kneebone, who literally got me my start here in Australia. And there's a lot I learned from that guy, that man. And if there's anyone listening that knows old school Westgate Health and Fitness Centre, or the health club there, it was probably the mecca of bodybuilding and, strength training back in the early 80s and 90s here in Melbourne. They even had Arnold Schwarzenegger out there when he came out to do the Arnolds like Mr. Olympia in Australia there years ago. So it was actually pure chance. Absolute pure chance that I got to meet Trevor, and that he got me he got me sponsored here in Australia. And as I said, learned a lot from him and the way he operates things. And I think I've embodied a little bit of those traits in the way I do things from the beginning and now. And it's very much about, he gave me a crack, not knowing much about me. He allowed me to operate my own business inside of his, because if I do well, his business does well. And that's the mentality I have always taken with me, not the competition side. I think that's the video you're referring to that you're seeing first, which is a huge thing in the fitness industry. I feel that there's a lot of competition out there, but when I came to Australia, I didn't feel that. But when I work back at home in Ireland, you're doing better than the guy that's been there a year or two more than you, and all of a sudden you guys aren't friends. And I got a real bad taste for what the fitness industry was like back at home. It's not the fitness industry back in Ireland is not as well. It is now. It's not as popular back 10 years ago as it would have been over here in Australia. Because why? Well, the fucking weather's cold. People don't need to be showing skin. You go from pub to pub, and there's about 15 pubs in the town, and there's 2 gyms. You know what I mean? Back 10 years ago, being a personal trainer back at home probably wasn't top of the pops. Definitely things have changed. It's a lot different now. But my first experience in the fitness industry at home wasn't a positive one. And it wasn't until I came out to Australia that I realized, this is actually an industry over here. This is actually something that, a man can make money from and, do well in. And, as I said, Trevor Kneebone was my first kind of inspiration in that. And I've taken his kind of philosophies on board, and you still see it a little bit, that little bit of competition there. But as I like to say, and I like to talk about it, is, when gyms set up close to one another, that's not an issue. Some clients even say to me, "Oh, there's a gym open up beside you. That's not good for business." I'm like, "But why? Why do you say that?" I was like, first of all, it gives you more choice, so it's good for the client. But even though I might know that guy next door running his business, like, how many members is he trying to get in those doors? Even if it's a massive global gym, and he can fit like 2,000 people in there. In any suburb, there is 2,000 people to go that definitely need like help and whatnot. So if I'm a gym beside him, which is, I have a CrossFit gym, maybe 100 and 120 people is what my capacity is. The area I live in has a lot more people than that, so me and him, that gym owner and me, we're allies, because we're fighting on the same team. And because we're fighting on the same team, doesn't matter what he's doing, doesn't matter what I'm doing, we're all heading the same direction. And this is what I said, and this is what I always say on that video, is our only competition out there is Uber Eats, KFC, Hungry Jack's, and McDonald's. The life of convenience. That's what we're fighting against. And of course, what's happening right now at the moment, which is the bigger battle, anxiety, depression, and people now afraid to get out and about again, afraid to interact because of this current climate that we're kind of stuck in. So that's our battle, that's our enemy. And all fitness people, it doesn't matter what realm you're in, whether it's online, like in-face personal training, running a business, you have to understand that if you're focused on the gym owner down the road or the personal trainer beside you in the gym and you're envious of what they're doing, you're in the wrong line of work. Because that guy and that girl and that business owner is not your enemy, they're your ally.
I feel like I had a really powerful initiation into the fitness industry, because my first gym was in Surrey Hills in Sydney, which is smack in the centre of the city. And literally on the street that I was in, which was Foveaux Street, one of the main streets in Surrey Hills, there was 10 gyms within, like, I could eyeball them from my front door. So I was initiated in the fitness industry, understanding exactly what you were saying, that abundance mindset of knowing there is enough to go around for everyone. And what I quickly learned was that rather than busying myself with what everybody else was doing, if I instead focused on being the fullest expression of myself, it allowed me to be in flow with work. It's really easy to be yourself every day if you're not concerning yourself with what everybody else is doing. And you attract your community, your tribe, your people. And that just allows you to grow your business to be this thriving community that feels really good.
Yeah, I could not agree with that more. That's a great way to put it. When coaches or gym owners, they see someone doing something and they feel like, oh fuck, if they're doing that, I need to be doing it too. That's a mistake. It's a mistake right there. You do what gives you enjoyment, and you hit the nail on the head. That word tribe, I love that. You'll find your tribe. You'll find the people that, if you enjoy doing something, it's basic sales. If you understand the product and you love the product, you can sell the product. And if you're doing in the fitness industry what you love to do, whether that's, taking females on a weight loss journey, taking males on a bodybuilding journey, taking endurance athletes on endurance journeys, know what you do, and if you do it well, stick with it.
And I think
even if Jimmy, whatever his name is over here, is like, he's doing 2 or 3 types of things and he's still got a lot of clients, that doesn't mean you need to copy him. Like, maybe Jimmy has got a lot of clients because he's doing multiple things, but maybe he'd have even more if he stuck to one. But you have time to figure this out. You stick in your lane, you understand what you do, and you become a master.
Love it. Absolutely. And I hope this gives everybody listening full permission as a person that is just enjoying exercise to hear us when we say you need to do whatever the fullest expression of yourself is. And you don't need to look to your neighbor, your sister, your friend, your cousin, whoever, and the type of exercise that they are doing and think that that's the only way to do it because they achieve success using that methodology, right? You need to give yourself permission to wonder and be curious and remain curious about what could feel good for you.
100%. That's exactly it. Because there's so many options out there now. This is the world we live in. You can try so many things at the drop of a hat. And even at the moment, because there's so much online stuff as well, if you don't feel like going to a gym, you can try stuff in the comfort of your own home. Giddy up.
I wanted to circle back to what you alluded to before. So you were saying our biggest competition, obviously, is our culture of convenience and the way that it allows people just to get very stuck on a very sticky, icky, fucky plateau of their life and just kind of sit there stagnant. And you also said that, you know, mental health and our well-being is something that we're also up against in terms of being able to best support people. In coming out of COVID, do you have any new insights or reflections into how community and exercise really does support people's overall mental health and well-being?
Yeah, well, if community was an important thing before, because I own a CrossFit gym, and that's always the big selling point, you know, the community. If community was a big thing before, it's even more important now. It's probably even more important than the programming or the type of training that you do in there. You want to provide this space that is safe for people to come into, because there is so many people now, whether they had anxiety before in any way, shape or form, they have anxiety now. And maybe it's escalated, that it's increased that little bit. So people now are somewhat timid. You know, okay, well, what's, you know, first of all, who knows what the future is with what's going to happen? It's all still very unsure. As a gym owner as well, like there's always that target on the back going, you know, at any stage again, we could be shut down. So we do what we can do in this meantime. Like I've transferred a lot of my services to the online space, which was a great learning experience for me during COVID. So it was, you know, COVID worked out well for me in a way. But for my clients, you know, it was tough for a lot of them. And now that the gym has reopened, like, what can we do for them? You know, we can, you know, follow the rules, make sure that we provide them a safe space. But now our coaching is more a conversation. Like, how is your day? And then all you have to do with that stuff is like, you know, okay, they're into do exercise or whatever, but you can see in someone's face, how is your day? And all you have to do is shut your fucking mouth and let them talk. Because I feel a lot of it is just providing this space for people. And whether that's just a conversation or a place to train, but sometimes people just need to, well, interact, but sometimes they need to offload. That's always been something I've known about being a personal trainer, you know, especially one-on-one stuff. When that's how I started off, you become like a psychologist, friend. You hear everything. You hear about relationship breakdowns. You hear about bosses being fuckers at work. You hear about someone that's buying a new dog or someone's car that got stolen or whatever. You hear everything. And the thing is, you just provide the ear. You let people vent. You let people get that stuff off their chest. And you know, that's the stuff now that is super important. You know, the stuff I do online, like I do a Zoom chats with people. We're not doing exercise on the Zoom chats. We're just talking. And okay, I haven't control much over the exercise they do, but I can help them with nutrition, and I can help them with, you know, making sure they get their step count in and stuff like that. But also what is the reason why you've got to this point in your life? And then what do? Shut the fuck up and let them talk.
You're speaking my language. It's literally the words I use for people all the time, that I hold space for people. Literally, I'm holding my hands up as I'm saying it. I hold space for people to feel safe to dip into. Years and years ago, I wasn't working full-time in the gym. I was working full-time as a teacher. But I still had gyms, and I'd come into the gym early in the morning and in the afternoon because I just loved it. I just loved being in the environment. And I would just be on the gym floor and just greeting people as they came in and doing exactly what you said, just having conversations. How was your day? What's going on? I'd get to know about their family, their partner, their dog, whatever it was. And on the days that I weren't there, people were asking, where is she? And I stepped back and I thought, ooh, this is a whole other component and aspect of the business that is becoming really important that we hadn't intended to create, but there it is. And from that moment on, I realized how important that connection piece is to what we offer. Because any monkey, and I say it tongue in cheek, but any monkey can spot a bench press for somebody. But it takes a certain level of connection and authenticity and consciousness to really connect with someone and offer them an experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also important, I think, for us, and I'm going to throw a question back to you, because we see and we're in contact with a lot of people all the time, and now even more so because of being online and stuff like that. Like us dealing with all that we hear, good, bad, and indifferent, that's a lot to take on board. So I'm going to throw the question back to you. When you take all this information in and about how people are going and whatever you hear when it's good and bad, how do you deal with all that?
Brilliant question. Brilliant question. I went and got myself a coach. So I have somebody that I offload to twice a week in a very structured, professional, directed way. That I can kind of process everything that I'm going through, everything that I'm experiencing. I've had to do a lot of work around boundaries for myself and learning what my values are, how my boundaries are reflected by my values, and then how to maintain those boundaries like a motherfucker. I've done a big cross through the word nice for myself in the last 2 years. No more of this people pleasing, bullshit. That was my biggest barrier to being able to be fully expressed and offer more of myself. So my answer to that is get a coach myself.
Yeah, I love that.
Be supported myself so that I can open myself up and, hold more space for more people.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you? What process are you using?
Yeah, well, my own training, when it comes to my own physical exertion, and like that's always been my thing. It's my way of releasing. Sometimes I'll go to my friend's gym. There's like at the weekend we organized, because the McGregor fight was on, 4 gyms got together: myself, CrossFit Westgate, CrossFit Metal Therapy, Functional U, and the Oxbox, and we just got a shitload of our members together and we hung out and we fucking watched the UFC and had fun. But I'm mates with all these boys that own these gyms, so I'll be like, I'll normally train at my own gym, and I'm happy to do that when it's a quiet time. Won't even play music, just me just lifting weights. But sometimes I'll just go to a new environment and just hang out with the boys, and then we're just shit talking our shit talk. I also see at least once a month a psychiatrist as well, just to talk shit through, because sometimes you kind of hit stuff yourself and you're like, hoo, I wasn't expecting to hear that. And that can stuff, when you hear that's extreme that in people's own lives, and like we'll say like trauma and stuff like that, it's like, wow, it's a cross that person has to bear, but you take on some of that energy as well, whether it's positive or negative. And it's just understanding how to, let it pass through you, but not hold on to it.
I've actually done a lot of work myself this year to become a better coach. And I realized in a lot of ways how I was capping people's growth often, because when they were sharing things with me or working through something, and they were at that point in the conversation where I had asked them something that was really challenging, and I could see they were uncomfortable in that moment and that it was stirring a lot up within them, maybe emotion would arise, or maybe it was just a very difficult thing to openly talk about. Often I would jump in and help them and prompt them and give them an answer. And I've realized in reflecting on that deeply, just how much I cap people's growth or their potential to tap into their own personal power by wanting to help them. And truly understanding that helping people sometimes is exactly what you said. Shut up, don't say anything, and hold that space, even if the space is really uncomfortable, because that's what people actually need sometimes.
Yeah, and what that is there, and I know exactly, because I've had to learn to summon up my female energy, And that fixing element there, that's exactly what boys do. You're in a relationship, your girl comes home and she's gasbagging about the fucking what's happened at work and this, that, and the other. And you're like, oh, you can hear it. You can like, the simple solution is just talk to that bitch across from the fucking desk and just tell her fucking mind her own business. But that's not what your missus wants to hear. It doesn't work that. All she wants to do is vent. And she just wants an ear to listen to. And it's taken me a while to figure that shit out. But like in relationships, it's a little bit harder, but with people that are like external, I think you can master it better. But when it's someone that you know super personally, you can still jump back into it. So for me, it's understanding that I have to suppress that male energy a little bit and bring up the female energy. And I think it's somewhat similar for yourself. That fixing, that's the male energy coming out in you right there.
It is, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. And so that's
100%.
Working on at the moment. And it's been really powerful. And it's also alleviated me from feeling like I always have to be the solution. I think that's what gets exhausting, particularly in the fitness industry. I think a lot of people look to us for accountability and motivation. And it's been a really powerful thing for me to step back and say to people like, whoa, no, I'll hold safe space for you, but I'm not going to hold you accountable. I'm not signing up for that. And that's been really powerful in terms of the results that I've been able to help people generate, but also my capacity to just keep showing up, you know?
Yeah, because it doesn't drain your energy as much. Yeah, exactly. And I think all the information in the fitness industry, anything that me and you talk about here is already out there. It's already there. People can get it in ways, shape, and forms. It's just the way coaches work and the way we will work was we see this information, we've used it, we've applied it ourselves, we've seen results from it, and we're like, we become passionate about it. We're like, right, this is something that fucking really works. This is why I want to fucking talk about it. Who wants to get involved? Because I can help you with this shit. But it's when people come and they're talking to you, they know this stuff as well. And all you have to do is like, let them come to the solution themselves. This is what I'm talking about, but what do you think? Why do you think you want these results? Why do you think you want to go on this journey? Oh, well, they slowly start to go, oh, well, this is why, and that's the reason. Okay, bang, there you go. This is how we work. You know, that's good.
I love it. I enjoy it so much. Now, let's change the pace of this conversation quickly because I want to be able to get this conversation in with you. Yeah. I saw on your Instagram, because I stalk everybody that I find inspirational and motivational, that you recently took a weekend job. I guess you're not doing it full time with Magic Men Australia.
Giddy up. Absolutely. Yeah.
How fun.
Yes. Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing this up, number one, obviously that's quite interesting and unique in itself, but what I think is really powerful in opening up this conversation is that I think in the online space in particular, we've made it quite safe and accessible for women to have really open conversations about the way that they feel about their bodies and how to be comfortable within their own skin. But I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that men are openly having these conversations about I guess a sense of security within their bodies and being openly able to just share themselves. Are those conversations happening for men yet?
They're not as much as they should. There's lots of conversations men are not having regarding all aspects of their life. But definitely when it comes to physically how they feel and how they look and, you know, wanting to look in a certain way, I think a lot of people shy away from it. There's always the, sure, like, you know, like I'm having the pints with the lads and it is what it is. And it's more, you know, more cushion for the pushing. But in really, when it comes down to it, like the guys and girls I talk to at the gym, it's like, you know, why do we exercise? Why do we want to get onto this fitness journey? To look good naked. Mm. Because if you look good naked, you feel good, you know, regardless of what's going on with whatever goal you're on, if you're overweight, there's a reason why you've got there. So I spoke there just a second ago about this UFC event thing that we hosted. Every month before lockdown, there will be a main UFC event on, and it's a boys only event when it comes to this, for what I'm talking about here now. So it's a boys only event. So lads, don't bring your missuses. It's a Sunday here in Australia between 12 and 4. So the kids will be sound. They'll stay at home with the missus, come for a few points. But what happens is, what the golden rule is of this UFC Sunday is you bring your shit, whatever the fuck it is. And we talk about it. If there's anyone in this group that judges in any way, shape or form, they can fuck off. Okay, so we're like, because girls do this so naturally, you know, fucking a girl breaks up with a fella and the rest of the girls are flocking around, they're bringing Kleenex and puppies and fucking small stuffed animals. It's brilliant. And you fluff around and you build her up and you pat her on the back and she feels good. You know, she's still suffering, but she feels good from it. Boys don't do that. It's like, dry your eyes, mate, slap on the back, like fucking whatever. And because boys are, you know, seen to need to show this strong front, they don't talk about stuff. So when they're suffering inside, you know, like anything else, a mask comes on, and that mask can be behind food. It can be behind alcohol. It can be behind, you know, putting themselves in positions where they're working flat out, where they don't even see their families anymore. And that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Like suicide in males is through the roof. Like back at home in Ireland, when I think about when I was growing up, like I've lost a lot of mates to it. And so when I hear that one of my mates is suffering from something, I'm not fucking patting them on the back. I'm like, come on, fucking pull yourself together, mate. I'm like, how can I help you? What do you need? When we all meet together at the UFC, sometimes we don't even fucking see the UFC for talking. And as I said, anything can be brought up. There's one good mate of mine, he's suffering badly with anxiety. And it's times he's at the UFC with us, and he's able to say to us straight out, he's like, I feel like I don't want to be here, even though it's fun that I'm with you guys, and it feels like I still don't want to be here. And that's hard to hear, but I'm like, mate, if you need to go home at any stage, feel free to head home. There's no pressure. If you don't feel like coming on a particular day, that's absolutely fine. But just know I'd love to fucking see you there. You know, and that's the way we run. That's the way we operate. And I think more guys need to be like that. It's particularly a very Irish thing, you know, fucking come on, dry your eyes, mate. But I also see it here in Australia as well, where it's, you gotta put on this strong exterior. You can't be, as they would say, you can't be a weak cunt. You know, like, fuck that. What's wrong with having a bit of a whinge? Me and the boys can talk about it here. Like during the Christmas, I'm away from Ireland. I can't get back to Ireland this Christmas. I was upset this Christmas. You know, I had a bit of a whinge about it, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I cried about not being able to get home this year. And is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so.
And let me tell you, my husband, Steve, is a 2-time world champion kickboxer. And he had somebody make recently like a YouTube video that's a little bit of a bio of his career and just where he is now. And Steve has a daughter, she's 6 years old, Jada, who he doesn't get to see anymore. She lives in Sydney, and there's just been trouble between him and his ex-partner. And in this video, Damo, he just cries and he breaks down and he talks about his daughter, and he's not wiping away the tears. He's, you know, being very raw in that. The amount of feedback and men reaching out to him and people that still stop him in the street to say, like, mate, I saw your video, thank you. And they share their story. It's overwhelming. It's probably the most powerful piece of content we have ever put out there. And he didn't intend for that. He didn't realize it was going to be a conversation starter for other men who are experiencing isolation from family or their children or whatever, just to hold that space to open that dialogue, you know? So I think it's very powerful when strong men can find the courage within themselves to be vulnerable enough to just speak of the human experience. That's all it is.
Absolutely. And it's so important to do. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. It actually makes you more powerful.
In what way?
Well, you are showing your true emotions. You get what's on your chest off your chest, and you stop wearing that mask and you stop bottling it up. And because that's what's killing people, you know, holding it all in. If you let go of that stuff, you will be more successful in whatever you're doing. If it's a relationship that's bogging you down, there's something going on in it, like, because you can be not happy. If you start talking about this stuff and you start talking directly to the person you're in a relationship about how you're actually feeling, it may be shitty at the time, that conversation, but you're going to come out the other end of it stronger, and so will that other person. Because if you're not happy, that other person isn't happy either. You know, it's not just a one-way street. If you're feeling something, you can be damn sure the room you're in is feeling it as well, because your shit can't be hid forever. You can hold back and you can suppress it for a little while, but it's going to boil over. So releasing it changes things, changes you. It makes you see things in a different way. And sometimes it has to be severe. Sometimes for something to change, it has to be fucking like a kick in the guts, but a severe kick in the guts for you to fucking realize that you can't carry on this way. But when you do figure that out, yeah, a little bit shitty, but what the fuck is ahead of you? It's an unknown thing. It's unknown. It can be so fucking far from where you are in that position. It's like you hear of a new life now. I feel like so light. I feel 10 years younger. How does this happen to people? Because they finally open the fuck up. They finally let this baggage that they're carrying, these chains that they're dragging, they cut them off. They discard them. Now, does that stuff happen overnight? Not always. But once the door opens, you lose one chain at a time. Your load gets lighter on your journey. And that journey continues, but it gets easier. And it changes the direction of where you're heading.
Takes a lot of energy to repress and ignore and deny what's there. And I think it's very powerful sometimes if you are feeling unpleasant, unhelpful emotions, to just let them be. We don't have to try and rid ourselves of them straight away. Let them be, but also acknowledge in the moment that you feel them. If you sit for long enough and you ask yourself, what else is here for me to experience? You'll find there's other parts of you that rise to meet, whatever unpleasant emotion you're meeting. So it could just be within you as well. There is some sort of excitement about something, some sort of joy. There's something in there within you that can rise to help you work through whatever it is that you are experiencing in that moment. If we're feeling depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, that's not all that we are feeling. It's just the biggest, loudest emotion that we're paying attention to. There's always more for us there to experience if we allow ourselves to take our attention off that one emotion and think about what else is there for me to experience. What am I not seeing right now?
Absolutely. That's a good statement. That's so true. Yeah. So it's just allowing that to happen. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one sometimes for people to see what's that saying? To see the forest for the trees. Yeah. But it's there. It's there.
And I think sometimes you just need those little moments where you feel the glimmer of it within you. You don't need to see the fullest, brightest vision of it. If you just have that little hope or that glimpse of it within you, just to know that it's there, just to be able to refer to a time where you weren't feeling this way, gives you hope that at the base of your being, your innate nature, who you truly are, it's there for you. And you just have to hold tight and bring that forward and call that forward. And if you can't, do exactly what you're saying. Find community that's going to help you and stand beside you as you find it in you to bring that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
One final question before we go. Yesterday, Steve and I recorded a pretty fun, lighthearted podcast episode about alter egos in training. And we talked about how sometimes in our training, it can just be fun to just generate this alter ego within us that helps us just kind of, I guess, when you're having those days that you feel a bit flat or a bit funky, that helps you just like kick into that second gear. Have you ever experienced a kind of alter ego that you've called upon, and who is it and what form does it take in your training?
Yeah, giddy up. Okay, that's a good one. It's a good one. So I sometimes do this exercise where I get people when they're feeling at their lowest, like, to write down a load of words, like how they feel when they're there. What's it like? It's like, I'm unmotivated, depressed. I'm not worthy. I'm slow. I want to isolate, all this sort of things. So you write down all these adjectives and then put an archetype to it. So a character. And mine in that sort of scenario would be, Eeyore from what's his face? Winnie the Pooh. Yeah. So then, okay. So we've established when people are at their lowest point. So I've established that for myself. Then what we need to do is, who would be in your mind the complete opposite to that? And mine is fucking Iron Man. 100% fucking blasting, fucking just the attitude of Tony Stark, where it's just like whatever. He's walking through there. He knows he's King Dick. He's this mad genius that can create all these stuff, and no matter what the situation is, he has control over it. So it's that for me. It's like knowing that when you're there, that you can bring that up. And yeah, when it's time to, for me, I'm a big squatter. I love my squats, and I'm just like, I'm like putting on rock music, I'm grinding my teeth, I'm ready to hit this lift. And it's like, it's Iron Man time. That suit, you know, when he blows the whistle, or he has with the suit that comes in all different parts. I don't know which Iron Man that was, but it's coming from fucking far away in all these little parts. But as I'm walking to that bar, my suit is been built on me. Like the arms click on, the chest plate comes on, the helmet comes on, then I put my hands on the bar, I can feel the legs, it's still building on me. I'm taking the bar off the rack, and just as I'm about to squat, I'm fully geared up. I'm ready to rock and roll. And regardless what happens, all I have to do is move, like squat down to the bottom and then push that motherfucking floor away. That's all it is. And fucking Tony Stark, no problem. Easy done. Iron Man in the game.
I love it. I'm so glad I asked that.
Giddy up. Yeah. So yeah, bit of fun, like.
And at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do, right? Be really serious about not taking ourselves too seriously.
100%. And there's going to be ups and downs, you know, and you, like what you said there, sitting with those downs at times is just as important as trying to get yourself out of them. Because a friend of mine at the gym, he's a psychologist as well, and I had a breakup there during lockdown, and you know, it's shit. It is shit. And he was saying, rather than trying to make yourself feel better and, you know, trying to do things and constantly distract yourself with stuff, just sit with it, because your emotions are just like your muscles. You train them, you get stronger at dealing with them. I was like, solid advice. I still feel shit, but solid advice. You know what I mean? But he wasn't wrong. So, like, you know, just rather than just trying to distract and you know, not think about it, just sit with it. And, you know, the sun does come out again, and it does shine, and it does become better. And, you know, life moves on.
Analogy lover, so I can't help myself. Do you know the cloud in the sky analogy? That's what's come to mind for this.
Okay.
If you consider the sky, right? Sometimes there will be clouds that pass in the sky. And if you can imagine the clouds to be your thoughts and your emotions, right? And you can kind of think of the thoughts that you're having, if they're negative thoughts, and you place them onto a cloud and you put them there. Sometimes what we do is we associate so strongly with the thought or the emotion that we're feeling that we think we're the cloud. But we are the freaking sky. We are the whole sky. We're not just that one cloud. And if we just let the clouds pass, eventually we remember that the sky always clears. And so we just have to remind ourselves, I'm the sky, not the cloud. No matter the storm, no matter what passes, you know, the sky is who we are. And to not associate too heavily to the thoughts that come and go, you know.
I love that. That's so good. I'm going to use that. Yeah.
And I think, you know, for me, why I particularly like it is obviously I see the sky every day, I see clouds every day, and it's a good reminder just to check in with myself. What am I kind of hooked into right now, and what can I kind of just release from my own thinking and my own emotions and just let that go? And then what would be available to me if I did that?
Yeah, absolutely. So good. So good.
Love it. All right, Damo, thank you so much for your time today. If people want to reach out and find more of you on social media, where's the easiest place for them to find you and your gym?
Yeah, so it's on Instagram. It's at Damo CrossFit. Fucking I forgot what it was. At Damo CrossFit. And the gym is CrossFit Westgate. So that's the easiest way through Instagram is the easiest way.
I will put everything in the show notes for you guys. And I really do recommend that you go give him a follow, because he's a good time on socials. And we need to see more people that are just using the platform just to spread some good vibes and some, you know, good shit on there.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Giddy up.
Thank you so much for your time.
Easy work.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the gym.